So, okay, on to Saturday night. So I want you to imagine this, okay? You're an NHL player. You've scored 30 goals at the NHL level. You've had big contracts. You've been traded. You've been, everything has happened to you, but you were a third overall pick at one point. And a GM calls you and says, listen, you've been through waivers this year. You're not playing much. We're going to send you down to the American Hockey League. You've never played there in your life. And you're going to go play in the American Hockey League, and you're going to go find your game. And whenever we think you're ready, person in your late 20s, early 30s, whenever we think you're ready, then we'll bring you up. And you may have a shot at playing some real bona fide minutes. For a guy that's struggling like Alexander Galchenyuk was, it's sort of interesting to see that he would say yes to an assignment like that, because I don't think every player would. But he went down, he played with the Marlies, he seems to have found his game, and everything that you wanted to see from Alex Galchenyuk all the way throughout his career seems to be happening, maybe not on the level that we thought for a third overall pick, but the guy doesn't look out of place on a second line in the NHL.
No, and I think it's because he's dialed. I think the Leafs and the NHL really have Alex Galchenyuk's full attention. I'm getting $1 million, 1.1 I think he signed for, on the Sens, despite being a former 30-goal scorer. Oh. I'm on the Sens fourth line? Oh. I'm on waivers? Oh. I'm a cap dump in a trade to the Canes? Like, they're not even going to use me? Oh. Then all of a sudden the Leafs come along and they trade for you. You're not a dump. They're obviously trading for you to use you. And if you're Alex Galchenyuk, I don't think you have a choice but to trust the Leafs organization immediately. Okay, so what you want me to do is go to the minors for like 2 weeks? I could stomach it. I'm either about to find out I'm washed or I still got it. He found out he still got it. And then he got called up to the Leafs. All right, I'm going to be a plugger. I'm going to figure it out. I'll be on the fourth line. Hey, I still get to play with Jason Spezza. That's pretty cool. What? I'm with Tavares and Willie? Okay. Like, you can't tell me the Leafs aren't getting the absolute most out of Alex Galchenyuk. If he's not awake right now, if any player being given the opportunity that he's getting right now is not paying attention, they don't belong in the league. And what we're finding out is Alex Galchenyuk belongs in the NHL. I think he proved us wrong, proved me wrong, definitely. And I think he proved, I think he's proven it to himself right now. Like, I don't know what anyone's going through. I don't know how you go from 30 goal scorer to whatever Alex Galchenyuk was a month ago. But this guy's a Leaf now, and he's got a golden opportunity. He got demoted from that golden opportunity line. And Sheldon Keefe said, no, don't look at it as a demotion, but well, call it whatever you want. And then when the Leafs needed a goal, he went right back to it. And Galchenyuk rewarded him. And these aren't just like little stupid secondary assists. I think the second assist was a secondary one, but like, it doesn't happen without him. And
some secondary assists are valuable, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I know that there's some times where it's like, well, that's a bit iffy. But there are plenty of secondary assists that are valuable.
I featured one in Hat Picks this week. It was Joe Pavelski between his legs at his own blue line, but it was the only reason the puck went in, right? The between the legs, no look pass to Tavares. It's not just having the skill to do it. It's the reaction time. That puck accidentally bouncing off, I think it was Chris Russell, to process that information so quickly. Oh, I'm about to get the puck. I'll put it between my legs to the captain who I know is behind me. This guy, man, he could be a real find for the Leafs. Kudos to them, because he wasn't on my list.
So here's my question. So the and this is a little bit early, but I would still like to talk about this. So the Leafs are apparently, if Nashville decides to sell, which by the way, they're winning some games now. So now they think they're good again. They're not, but they think they are.
They still have a shot at the playoffs.
Sure, but they're not good.
Crazy.
Come on. They should sell on Granlund. They got a 1-year deal with the guy they should sell on Granlund. If Nashville's serious, if they're serious about being a good team going forward, a great team going forward, they need to recoup assets. And you know what? They can go and go into the playoffs and that sort of thing. But I don't think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in July you're laughing at me because Nashville's won the Stanley Cup, but I don't see a Stanley Cup winning team there. I think you sell for assets this year. Regardless of that, if Granlund's not available, if Palmieri apparently may not be available, I guess New Jersey's also got a shot at the playoffs. Everybody's got a shot at the playoffs.
New Jersey's a little different.
I'm joking.
Okay.
But apparently they're still not maybe making him available, which is okay, fine. And then you've got Taylor Hall in Buffalo, who Leaf fans seem to want, but I don't know that the Leafs are necessarily in on. They're looking for a first-round pick for him. They're probably not going to get it, according to Elliot Friedman, at least not at this point. Do the Leafs have to, if Galch continues to play like this? And that is a major, major, major point here. Trade deadline's not for a couple weeks. It's on my birthday, which is kind of cool this year. So it's April 13th, trade deadline. How much do you need to see out of Galch, and for how long before you say, you know what? We may not need that top six forward. Maybe we need another depth forward. Maybe we need another Travis Boyd that we can pick up who's making $700,000 or whatever. Maybe we call the Canucks and offer them a conditional seventh to get Boyd back, whatever it is you want. But do they need a top six forward if Alex Galchenyuk can sustain this type of play?
I still kind of think they do. I think they're finding out once and for all what they got. Kerfoot, they're sort of burying in the lineup. I look at the lineup that they have, and I think they're trying to figure out what life without Alex Kerfoot is going to look like.
You think they're going to trade him?
I think it's a possibility, but I really like that player. That contract's no fun. But I feel like that's maybe an off-season move. You don't move him unless you're getting something real.
Right.
You know what I mean? Galchenyuk would definitely solve an issue on that second line there with Tavares and Nylander, but I suppose you could put him with Marner and Matthews as well. What I'm not loving is 2 months of playoff hockey with a 41-year-old Joe Thornton on your top line and equal parts playing Wayne Simmons on his offside. Like, they're trying this neat
Wayne
thing.
Simmons is broken body too. Don't forget that.
Yeah. I mean, literally in some spots.
Yeah.
Right? We know Kerfoot can do that assignment. We know he can do that. He can play with Tavares and Willie, no problem. We haven't seen as much of him with Matthews and Marner, but it's an intriguing thought. It's just, they don't have a guy who, in their current state and age, is a permanent top six player. And a guy you don't have to shelter. Like, they shelter Joe Thornton, right? And he's great. The way they use him, he's great. They've put him in different spots in the lineup, and he's been more than happy to do it. And he said that today. I would like to see another guy, but Galchenyuk makes it so it's not a dire acquisition. Like, this is the problem I have. Like, people keep going, come on, Leafs, make a trade. And I know it's your go for it year, but if the trade involves taking someone off the active roster, it better be a real good one, because the roster as it's currently built is the best one in Canada. You got to be able to justify taking one off.
Maybe Winnipeg says hello.
Says hello, but they don't say first place at the moment.
No, sure.
They can say hello all they want.
Also, I think they're
wave from second.
If we're talking about non-goalies here, are we talking about non-goalie players here?
Because talk about whatever you want.
Buoys a lot of what Winnipeg, and that's okay. But Connor Hellebuck is
it's part of the team. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Is Zach Hyman not like the guy? We still have Zach Hyman. It feels like we forget that it can be Hyman, Matthews, Marner anytime we want.
It's just that they need him on the third line.
Yeah, but I wish they didn't. Why can't we?
And that's why I think you got to. That's why I went back to Eric Stahl. You can't. Pierre Engvall is not the guy. It ain't Pierre, guys. It might be next year, but it ain't this year. That guy was caught. I think he was watching the play on the third goal. Pierre Engvall has moments where you go, oh, that's what Pierre Engvall can be. And we've said that on this show a couple times already this year. But then you have most moments where you're like, oh, that's what he is right now. That's his average. That's his mean. Yeah. It's not, Pierre Engvall is not it. He's not it. So they got to figure out something there. And I wonder, that's why I asked the question specifically about a top 6 forward. Because if you can avoid spending assets on that, could you not find a powerhouse third center?
I still think the issue is on the wing there, on the left wing. They have enough guys who can play center, right? Like we keep forgetting Kerfoot's an option there up the middle. I don't know if he's the best option. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get a complete team without weaknesses.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like even Tampa had to like, okay, I guess we'll use Luke Shen for like an extended period of time. You're going to get injuries. Here's another issue. So, Friedman and other insiders have talked about teams on the playoff bubble and their lack of willingness to completely blow it up. 3 wins. You can make that up in a week, right? Yeah. So if you're 6 points, 3 wins out of the playoffs, you don't want to blow it up because you're a hot week from being in there. What teams are 7 or more points out of the playoffs right now?
Very few. Very, very few.
In the Central Division, you have 1. It's Detroit. In the Mass Mutual East Division, you have 2. The Devils and the Sabres. Oh, Maron. The Devils are 9 points out of a playoff spot with 30 points. The Sabres have 16.
Oof.
Oh, my God. Anyway, in the Honda West, you have 2 teams. The Sharks and the Ducks. The Kings are starting to slip.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Scotia North, you have 1, Ottawa. But slim pickings. How many teams did I say? 6?
Mm-hmm.
There are 6 teams who are more than 6 points out of the playoffs. I don't know about this buyer's market everyone's talking about, guys.
All right.
I think
find out in the next couple of weeks. I also think you're completely ignoring the fact that there's probably 50 or more % of the NHL owners are like, we need to shed salary now.
There is that. There is
that's part of the buyer's market, is that there's a lot of teams that are like, I actually have to lose money now.
But one way to recoup is to make the playoffs and do well.
That's true.
How?
Well, especially if come June, when the playoffs start and NHL arenas in the U.S. are at 50% capacity, that's not a bad way to make some money back.
That's true.
Because they're getting there. And I would, looking at the left side of the Leafs, like it's Hyman, Thornton, Simmons, Mikheyev, Kerfoot, and whatever kind of guys you want to throw in there. I would rather pick up a defenseman and use that core for your forwards and go after that. If you're gonna trade away assets, I'd rather defenseman at this point.
I agree. You know who they need to evaluate? Like, they have to get this guy in the NHL and playing games to have a definitive answer there before they go out and do anything. They need to see, I think, 3 games out of Nick Robertson. You got to know what you have.
Before the trade deadline?
Yeah, you need to know what you have there. And I'm looking now, the trade deadline is April 12th. It's March 29th. I don't think they're going to do it.
No.
I also think, isn't he still hurt? He's on the taxi squad. I think but that was because he was supposed to get access to the Leafs medical staff.
Oh, I thought he was back getting games with the Marlies.
No, I think they've got him up on the taxi squad. I'm pretty sure. Geez.
All right. Yeah. Well, then you're not going to get that option then.
Yeah.
The further down the lineup you keep Zach Hyman, the better. But we already know Thornton and Simmons aren't the answer. Simmons might be the answer if he's on the right.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the answer on the left. And we know Thornton and Simmons aren't the answer because when the Leafs are down in the third period, Keefe goes back to his comfort food, which is Zach Hyman up with Matthews and Marner.
Which makes sense. Right. But if you want to roll 3, which is what they want to do with a weird fourth line with Jason Spezza scoring at like more than half a point a game, which is crazy.
It's wild.
He's had, by the way, if he scores 2 more goals, it'll be his most amount of goals scored in a single season since 16-17.
Oh, he's completely turned back the clock.
It's crazy. He's got 8. The max he had in the last 4 years is 9, which is last year when he only played 58 games. If he goes, we just need 2 more goals from Jason Spezza, and it will get up to the 16-17 total. But he had 15 back then, so much bigger role on that Dallas team too.
It's wild to me, and he did have that one incredible playoff with Dallas.
He did.
Those that's why you invest, man. You invest in those once all world players that are now older, because in spurts they can turn it on. Corey Perry was like, all right, it's the Stanley Cup final. I'm just absolutely leaving it all out on the ice.
Yes.
He can barely even make the Habs right now. But in that Stanley Cup final, he was a monster. Because they just leave it all out there. I want to see what the old guys do in the playoffs, man. I do. But I still think they need help.